Hey guys, thanks for stopping by for another video here at All I See Is W. In today's video, I'd like to talk about my price predictions of Bitcoin as well as diving deep to talk about Mara, a Bitcoin mining stock. We'll cover my latest updates with Bitcoin as well as sharing with you the latest updates with where I see the price for Mara and Bitcoin, along with updates that we're seeing all around the world right now. And, we hear a lot about global game theory ramping up, especially with, the entire world right now looking at Bitcoin through the lens of value. And I believe, financial institutions are beginning to buy Bitcoin ETFs. We're hearing United Emirates with a sovereign wealth fund buying up Bitcoin. We also hear at the state level, states like Texas, today with SB-21. We'll share the latest clip on that just so at least you can get some color on what those discussions are. But I think that as soon as we get the approval at the state level for one state out of the entire country, that's really going to change the dynamics where we will start seeing fruition. In fact, the strategic Bitcoin reserve, once the first state gets the green light to go ahead and buy up Bitcoin as part of their overall strategy to support Trump's powerhouse for cryptocurrency and AI. I think this is really going to drive a supply shock with the price of Bitcoin. And what does this mean? I'm forecasting that Bitcoin will eventually break through 130,000 to 150,000 come March, April timeframe. But 2025, I do think that we are in this cycle where we're expected to see the bull cycle last all the way up until October or so. We're not out of the woods yet. Bitcoin is expected to reach 200,000, which is my forecast. And what does this mean with a Bitcoin miner like Mara? We'll cover all of those updates, but first off, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing, turn on the bell notification for more related contents from my channel here. Thanks, guys, for stopping by. Let's get started. First off, I'd like to play a clip, just showing the president of Texas Blockchain testifying today on behalf of the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve under SB-21. So great news updates here, but let's hear it from the experts.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today in support of Senate Bill 21, the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Bill. I want to begin by commending Chairman Schwartner for your leadership in bringing forward this bold and forward-thinking legislation. Texas has long been a leader in industry, energy, and innovation, and with this bill, we have the opportunity to extend that leadership into the financial future of our great state. The Bitcoin and digital assets community is watching Texas closely, and there's an incredible enthusiasm for what this bill represents. To Senator Nichols' question earlier from this morning, it's a valid question, and Bitcoin is backed by the insights from Austrian economics around monetary scarcity. It's backed by cryptographic security and decentralized energy, making it a prudent choice for long-term value storage. There are several companies and individual Texans that are willing to donate varying amounts of Bitcoin to the reserve to demonstrate their commitment to this initiative. To Senator Johnson's point about concerns around donations, we'll be twisting people's arms just to get them to donate a small amount of Bitcoin, since, as you all rightly pointed out, it is voluntary taxes in a way. And we will certainly respect Comptroller Hager's decisions about which donations he chooses to accept, ensuring that there are no donations that are a concerning amount. The proper custody of this asset is critical, and this bill empowers the Comptroller's office to put an RFP out for institutional grade qualified custodians. An institutional grade custodian ensures the security of Texas's Bitcoin holdings, protecting the reserve with industry best practices in cryptographic security and regulatory compliance. The Texas Blockchain Council strongly supports Senate Bill 21 and the vision it represents. If passed, this bill would enhance Texas' leading position as the most forward-looking state in America when it comes to monetary resilience, financial sovereignty, and innovation in digital assets. We look forward to working with this committee, the Comptroller's Office, and Chairman Schwartner to make this vision a reality.
So there you have it. I hope that video gave you some color on where we're headed. So definitely a lot of eyes looking at Texas, the biggest states where we see predominantly a lot of the miners in Texas. So it'll be great to see a potential approval in the state of Texas. And I think this is really going to create a supply shock with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin price will reach 200,000 in the year 2025. Now, just leading up to the events of all of what we're hearing, I mean, we had change to the FASB rule, we had change to the accounting rule, with the custody changes, and we just heard from Lee with that recent video on custodian legal rights now. So all of these changes to regulatory compliance, this all leads to the United States focusing on Bitcoin as the digital gold asset here. And taking a look at Elon Musk's posting here, there's a plan to audit Fort Knox. And here's an image here that, we just want to make sure that for the public, people who are invested in, with all of the tax dollars from the American people, we just want to make sure that all of the gold that we are expected to have in the United States, whether it's at Fort Knox or in the New York Federal Reserve Bank in the fourth floor. We just want to audit that and see if it lines up with what's on paper. But I think that as soon as this outcome is done, whether the gold isn't present or it's present, I think all of this will be the initiative for the United States to reallocate all of the fair value of gold, transition all of that money to buy up Bitcoin. And as soon as the United States does that, that's really going to be a game theory action that takes place by the US player. And think about other countries, with Russia now approving mining in Russia, even China is focused on ramping up mining as well. This is really going to cause game theory where the big time players will make that same move as well, reallocating all of their funds from like gold and other areas like fiat money to buy up Bitcoin. So this is really going to be very bullish for Bitcoin. And I think what we're seeing with Bitcoin price, everyone is like getting very impatient. But the fact that 2024 Bitcoin has gone up by, over 50%, that's healthy. That's healthy consolidation with what we're seeing here, just from November to February. And we're in that realm of like 95,000 to 100,000. I think that we're in a positive state, and any approval at the state level, such as SB-21 from Texas, that's really just going to ramp up the price of Bitcoin. So we're definitely in a healthy state. And why do I say that? As we look at this Bitcoin visual here, key takeaway here is that, any bull cycle that we typically are in, we will expect to see the yellow dots here. And those yellow dots would represent the relative strength index of like 80 plus, especially through having events. We had one in April. But we're not out of the woods with this Bitcoin cycle yet. And most of the profits, I'm thinking, will come at around the time of like September, October as we transition to top off the Bitcoin bull cycle sometime in October. Let's take a look at this posting here from Cornick Trades. So Mara here just sideways since end of 2023. Nothing bearish about consolidation. It retraced into the golden pocket. Stock could easily see a double here. Now currently at $16. The patient will be rewarded here. So I am definitely in alignment with this posting here. Just taking a look at this visual, I think we're just in this consolidation pattern. We did see the price of Mara drop, just from like the last couple of weeks from like $30 to $16, getting below $16, high 15s. That's about, 50% drop off from that price point. But I think that what drops down very fast, we're going to see that prior resistance retesting of like $33 and, potential high of like $83 in the year 2025 here. And we have seen what Mara has done in the prior bull cycles as it reaches that Fibonacci golden point. I do think that there's huge upside, especially with the recent downturn here. And, when, people are fearful of what's going on with Mara, I think that's when you capitalize. We'll talk about my technical analysis towards the end here, but just with this posting here from Justin, so we do know that earnings will be next week, and that's going to be one of the, if not the most important earnings report for them ever. The chart is a clear falling wedge that is screaming and it's going to pop up. Sentiment is at its lowest ever. In my opinion, they're trying to completely route retail out. What we do need to realize is just with the recent, SEC postings here, financial institutions have been just buying up at a alarming rate, just buying more shares of Mara at discounted price. In fact, Mara is the miner where financial institutions hold Mara up to 75%. So that's the highest number when you compare that to other Bitcoin miners. So the fact that you have like BlackRock invested in Mara, these, financial institutions are the strongest out there, and there's a reason why they're buying up Mara, for example. But what we're seeing here with this drawing is a pennant bullish flag here, which I do think we're going to see reverse pattern kick in from a technical analysis. RSI has been just significantly low, and definitely I do see some huge upside with Mara's technicals here. Let's take a look at the latest updates with their production numbers here, and just looking at it from end of November. Mara was able to set a record high post halving, of April during that year, 907 Bitcoins mined in that month. And you look at December numbers, consistently high as well, 890 Bitcoins mined. There's no other Bitcoin miner that can mine at this level with the hash rate that they have in place. You see energized hash rate end of the year. 53.2. There's other miners out there where they're trying to ramp up their hash rate, reach that 50 hash rate by June of this year, but Mara is ahead of the game. They're ahead in terms of hash rate. They're ahead in terms of HODL. They're getting close to about 50,000 HODL behind the titan of this industry, which is Strategy MSTR. But clearly, the biggest Bitcoin miner out there right now to date. And I think that because Mara has the biggest hash rate, the biggest Bitcoin HODL, and also they're leveraging their Bitcoins on their treasury as ways to lease out their Bitcoins. In fact, they leased out, from the last updates, about 7,000 Bitcoins where they're getting monies for leasing out their Bitcoin. So think of Mara as like a Bitcoin bank. And at one point, I do think that they're going to be applying the same strategy as what MSTR is doing, where there's going to be increased game theory kick in, where different financial institutions, what we're already seeing, but also other countries that want to leverage Mara as a leverage play to holding on to Bitcoin because of their HODL numbers. So it's interesting to see where Mara is headed, especially with the recent updates with their stock price, which has created a lot of fear. But I definitely do think that buy when there's fear on Wall Street or when there's blood on Wall Street. Let's take a look at technicals here. So what we saw is back in November, end of November, it was at $30, and where it is now, support level, low point of like $15. I don't think it can get any lower than 15, $16. The fact that we've seen it ramp up over $30 on multiple occurrences. I definitely see upside of 100% gain sometime in March, April, especially as Bitcoin price starts ramping up with, a supply shock. Let's say if, for example, SB-21 Texas proposal gets approved, oh my goodness, Bitcoin price is going to start running, and a company like Mara's share price is going to start running. But as you look from a long-term perspective here, let's just be mindful of what happened with Mara, with the prior bull cycle here. So at one point, it ran all the way up to $84. Of course, available shares was different, But just based on historical trends, with every bull cycle for Bitcoin, that's when typically with presidential elections as well, we do see Bitcoin miners, especially with Mara having that big bull run. So 2025 will be a year where we're going to see some Omega green candles, and I do think that there's huge upside here. So if you could take advantage of, buying low and selling high at a later point, you could definitely capitalize on Mara here. But this isn't financial advice. I would highly recommend you do your own research when it comes to investing and take my information as guidance. I hope that you found this video valuable. If you did, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing. Let me know where you're watching from, what your questions and comments are down below. Thank you guys. You all have a great day.